Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We'll get to Comey, but I'll tell you, this story is being underreported this week because of the Comey firing and the appearance yesterday of the acting FBI director before the Senate committee. And that's Aetna withdrawing individual market plans in Nebraska and Delaware, meaning Aetna is out of the Obamacare exchanges altogether. Aetna, that was the leading industry cheerleader for Obamacare in 2009 and 2010. Humana has left the exchanges altogether. Anthem is edgy. In Maryland, Blue Cross and Blue Shield is requesting average premium increases for 2018 as high as 59%. You have Democrats instructing Republicans to discourage the ongoing effort by Trump to destabilize the Obamacare marketplace. This is consistent with what Jonathan McGruber there said, blaming Trump for Obamacare's implosion. The implosion is happening as has been predicted by anybody who understands Econ 101 for some time now. It's happening. It's been happening. And to me, this should encourage the Senate Republicans to move with alacrity on Obamacare Replace 2.0. But my sense is that's not the case, and are Republicans putting themselves in the worst of all possible worlds? A plan that moved out of the House that's not wildly popular right now. It hasn't been particularly well sold. And then a 2018 cycle where you're going to be without plans because you didn't move Obamacare Replace to the president's desk in time for these health insurance providers to understand the new landscape for 2018 and offer plans into it. For more on this topic, as well as the Comey topic, we're pleased to be joined by Bret Baier, anchor of Special Report, of course, on Fox News Channel, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Also the author of the book, 3 Days in January, and Fox News Channel is going to present special live coverage this weekend to discover major news events surrounding Trump's decision to fire Comey, along with his upcoming trip overseas. Headlining the coverage will be our friend Bret Baier, who's going to broadcast a live weekend special of Special Report this Sunday, May 14th, 7 p.m. Central Time, Chicago time. During the hour, he's going to focus on the fallout of the Comey firing and the news of the day. Bret, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Morning. So if we could indulge me on Obamacare and the Senate Republicans' posture on moving a replacement bill that would ultimately pass, and then they confer with the House, and then they send something to the president.
Yeah, so I asked Speaker Ryan about that timeline, and he, of course, is optimistic and thinks the Senate can move something out in 2 to 3 months. I think that's probably overly optimistic, thinking and hearing senators like Susan Collins and others saying they want to start from scratch and maybe a totally different construct than the House worked on. That's going to take some time. And you're right, because of the Aetna move, and because premiums, they'll set the new premiums this fall, and they're not going to go down in this current environment because the marketplaces are smaller, and these insurance companies have lost hundreds of millions of dollars, which is why they're pulling out. Short of subsidizing the insurance companies, which this president is not going to do, I think you're going to have a collision course in the fall. And that means, you're right, despite the fact that it's still called Obamacare and despite the fact that Democrats have been defending it for years, it's Republicans who are in charge of the House and the Senate and the White House, and therefore they'll be holding the old maid card come the 2018 elections if they don't do something.
So when do you think we're going to repeal and replace Obamacare?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a full repeal in the end, but I think there will be a major gutting and fixing, and it would have to happen this year, if not at the August recess, then in the fall cycle. But remember, they're doing tax reform at the same time.
Right.
And the other thing they need to do is move health care so that they can use the savings from the repeal and replace to bring down tax rates to the 15% corporate tax rate that Donald Trump wants.
Right, and now they got to get a new FBI director, too. And on that score, One of the regular panelists on your show, Charles Krauthammer, of course, said basically believe no one with respect to Comey's firing. But getting beyond the competing messages and rationales, if the Trump administration wants to move this investigation to conclusion, as some have argued, why not just kick it to House Judiciary, where any impeachment would start, have them investigate it, and draw a conclusion and be done with this thing already?
Well, I think that's, one of the things that could happen. You remember, you have three investigations concurrently. You have the House Intelligence Committee that got stirred up when Devin Nunes stepped aside, but now Mike Conway is in charge, and they're working through it with Adam Schiff. Then you've got the Senate Intelligence, where you saw the hearing yesterday, and then you have the FBI counterterrorism investigation. So, I think the thought about special prosecutors getting pushed back on by Republicans, because one, they don't think it's necessary and it's a waste of money and time, but two, special prosecutors in the past have started out looking at A and ended up at W, X,
right.
Y,
Right.
Z. Yeah.
So yesterday, Charles Krauthammer also said that it looked pretty improper that President Trump asked Comey about the investigation when they had their dinner in January. Trump allegedly at that same dinner demanded Comey's loyalty, but only received a pledge for honesty. Does this sit well with you that these two met and that this interchange happened?
Well, the meeting is fine. The asking if I'm under investigation, I guess it's the president's prerogative. But for someone who made a big deal out of the Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the tarmac because of the appearance of impropriety, there is an appearance of Comey at dinner looking to keep his job and then gets asked, yeah, let me think about that. So are you investigating me? Is just a little, you can't write that stuff.
Right, although, of course, the difference is that Hillary Clinton was under investigation at the time, and that was not in dispute. And, of course, Bill Clinton knew that. She's the Attorney General, and this is...
Well, exactly.
Yeah, so, I mean, there are distinctions to be made here, not to mention...
But he was asking if he was under investigation.
Yeah, if you can tell me, am I under investigation? That is different than the Loretta Lynch Bill Clinton meeting because...
No, you're right.
It's completely different.
It's not apples and apples.
In addition...
It's not apples and apples.
In addition...
Let me ask you
go ahead, I'm sorry.
This whole thing about is he under investigation is really quite something. I mean, think about all the leaks that we've had. We have not had a single leak that has definitive evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia.
Right.
We've had leaks about everything. There's not been one leak about, hard evidence of this collusion. And he told Trump, according to President Trump, that he was not under investigation. Not only that, but he told Senator Grassley and Senator Feinstein the same thing. Now, the Trump campaign is under investigation, and thereby, he's the head of the Trump campaign. But as far as being a specific target, he told multiple people that was not the case.
Well, right, and then now one of the arguments being made from some in the Democrat circles is obstruction of justice. Well, McCabe's testifying yesterday before Senate Intelligence. Has anybody contacted you from the Trump administration about the Russian collusion investigation? No. So, I mean, at some point, Democrats have to prove up these charges they're bandying about, and that's why I kind of that the House Judiciary Committee idea had some appeal to me, because it's like, let's drive to the conclusion of this thing, go wherever it goes, and either prove up something related to these charges or shut up.
Yeah, and I think that's the administration's wish. I agree with you. I thought McCabe was very forthright and kind of straightforward, and he answered a whole slew of things. One, that yes, agents were mad about the Clinton decision. Two, they had broad support for Comey, opposite what the White House said. Three, there was no request for additional resources.
Yes.
He doesn't need additional resources at all. Four, there's been no impeding of the investigation. And if there is, he will tell the Senate. But there hasn't been.
Yeah, and one other thing on that, too. So the New York Times was reporting from anonymous sources, of course, that this request was made. The Department of Justice denied that. McCabe denied it yesterday. So, this is the New York. The New York Times with these anonymous sources, like they're contending, provided a transcript of what was asked and answered at the dinner. Maybe there should be some skepticism applied to that reporting with their anonymous sources.
There's not only that, but they said Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, had threatened to resign.
Yeah.
He was asked yesterday specifically, did you threaten to resign? He said, no, I never threatened to resign.
Those are big differences. That's 180 degrees.
I mean, that's like, what?
Right.
And, the New York Times had it as 30 sources tell us.
Right.
I mean, it's really amazing.
All right, so this weekend you have special edition of Special Report, Sunday, May 14th at 7 p.m. Who are you going to have on your show?
I don't know, but it's going to be special.
That's why they give you that name for the show, as it always is. Yeah, he is Bret Baier. I'm sorry.
It'll be a cornucopia of news, I'm sure.
That's the best kind of news.
I had that for dinner last night.
Bret Baier, host of Special Report, Monday to Friday, 5 p.m. Chicago time. Now, also this Sunday, May 14th, a special report, 7 p.m. Chicago time on the fallout from the Comey firing. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
He's the best. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect.